Welcome back to the Ready Beaver channel. With Bethesda treating us to a double XP weekend and so many new players starting recently, I've created a beginner's guide for Fallout 76 in 2023. Instead of just listing some tips and tricks though, it seemed like a good opportunity to finally use up my final character slot. So for today's video I created a new character to run through the early game, focusing on reaching level 50 as quickly as possible. This was filmed prior to double XP, so using the same techniques this weekend will actually level you up much quicker. On the way, I'll also be going over some crucial tips and tricks that should help you out in the wasteland. This video is timestamped if there's a particular section you want to navigate to, but first it's time to wake up and get out there. Running through the vault, make sure to pick up everything, and in this run we are leveling up intelligence off the bat, as this will give us some extra experience. Heading outside, the navigation is pretty clear from here on out. Talking to Pennington and then heading down the stairs to talk to these two. This will set the scene for the Wayward tutorial questline, and make sure to ask for extra supplies to grab a free machete. Melee weapons are pretty good for low level progression, alongside the 10mm you get from the vault. Now if you are completely new to this game and are looking for an organic introduction to Fallout 76 at a slower pace, then you'll be heading to the Overseer's camp before probably exploring nearby Flatwoods or heading inside here to meet Duchess in the Wayward questline. And starting with the Wayward questline is great for a couple of reasons. You'll be introduced to camp building, meet characters who can provide some good backstory, and progressing further you'll be getting some good XP and items. If you are heading out and playing like this, then there are some early game perk cards I'd recommend. For strength, Travelling Pharmacy will greatly reduce the weight of chems, which will stack up pretty quickly. In Perception, Concentrated Fire will allow VATs to target limbs, as well as increase accuracy and damage per shot. I would strongly recommend playing on a public team anyway, but picking up Inspirational and Charisma will also grant you an XP bonus from just being in a team. Leveling up Intelligence will also increase your XP gain, and the perk card First Aid will increase the health regain from Stimpaks. For Agility, Action Boy will regenerate your action points, and in Luck, Farmer will increase the chance of finding extra First Aid when looting containers. It's probably worth setting your camp down near the Wayward too, as you'll be coming back here a lot and it will be good not to waste caps for fast travel. But let's pause here and rewind, because this isn't actually what I did in this playthrough, which was focused on gaining levels quickly. So starting back at the vault, the first thing I did was open the map. When you start out, in-game locations will be completely unmarked on your map. What you will see a lot of though in adventure servers are player camps, and we're going to be using these to unlock some important locations. The first location I was looking to unlock is the Whitespring Resort, which is located here. Head over to the social tab to take a look at public teams. Joining a team, you'll be able to travel to any teammate's location or travel to their camp on the map free of charge. Travelling to this camp that's actually near the resort, we can head down and discover it. And the Whitespring is great to unlock early as it houses every workbench, crafting bench, and faction vendor in one location. And since the pit update added the Whitespring Refuge, you can travel to the interior of the resort without needing to spend any caps. Some other points of interest that I'd recommend trying to unlock are Crater at the top of the map, Fort Atlas in the Savage Divide, and Foundation located here at the bottom. All of these are also free fast travel locations that will come in handy as a starting point to explore each region. But before we start heading out into the waste, we need to level up a bit. And to do that, I'm actually waiting for particular public events to pop up. The ones I'd recommend looking out for are Radiation Rumble, Moonshine Jamboree, Eviction Notice, and my pick of the bunch, Seismic Activity. All of these are also free to fast travel to. If you're waiting, then joining different teams to unlock locations is something to do in the meantime. Close to the Whitespring you can also find Blackwater Mine. The public event Uranium Fever actually takes place here, but sneaking past enemies on the outside you can head inside like this. The enemies will actually spawn at a manageable level, and equipping the machete should be enough to clear the mine. After area looting all of your kills and checking the different containers, you can head back to Whitespring Station to start making some caps by selling looted weapons to the vendor located here. A good charisma perk actually to pick up once you're able is Hard Bargain, which will improve the buying and selling exchange rate of items. But it's time to level, as the main event to look out for has popped up, Seismic Activity. One of the endgame bosses in Fallout 76, the Ultrasite Titan is a huge adversary, and the battle will take place in 3 different stages, and that's actually primarily why we're here, because this event will last a while, with constant waves of much higher level enemies. You'll need to join a public team and stay in relatively close proximity to teammates, because in an event like this you'll be getting a ridiculous amount of XP from kills they make. Realistically you won't be able to contribute much yourself at this level, but getting the 10mm pistol out then you can start actually tagging enemies with a shot or two. And if you're lucky, even finishing them off will give you some more XP. My death reel from this fight is pretty extensive. But it doesn't matter at this level, and that's definitely something new players should be aware of. Dying is okay. Hell, I'm even stealing XP during respawning, and it sets you straight back up to full health once you've died. By the time the event was drawing to a close, my character was already level 8, and heading into the last phase, the levels just kept coming. If you're running low on ammunition at any point, then just take a look at the area loot option. All enemies killed in this event will drop ammo for the weapon you're using. But we're going to go over this more in a second. Once the Titan was dead, my character had gained a solid 10 levels, using the exact gear he'd been given upon leaving Vault 76. I particularly like this event for leveling like this, as the boss fight is pretty contained within this space compared to the Scorched Beast Queen, for example, and with less environmental hazards that can be found in Colossal Problem. This strategy of course does hinge on a couple of things. Firstly, that more experienced players are happy for you to be on the public team with them, which most likely they will. 76 players are pretty generous and helpful from my experience. And one of these public events pops up. The Nuka-World On Tour events have stopped being boosted, meaning they won't pop up as much, but in this playthrough I was still seeing them quite a bit. Seismic activity can also be started at any time by launching a nuke at a Binary Mineshaft 2, and alongside the experience is a great way to get some camps, ammunition, junk and chems early on. But with the event over, it's time to area loot everything and head down to the fairgrounds. Nuka-World On Tour is actually another great place to unlock early on. You can find multiple vendors here, a close walk away, some unique food has a chance to spawn, and a central hub for players with workbenches and storage. The walk down is slow, but there's a ton of weapons to offload to make some caps. My strategy for this playthrough though is also centered around the build I wanted. For players new to Fallout 76, when deciding which weapons and armor you want to use will likely change the more you play and discover. But if you do have a rough idea, then there are plenty of good character build guides to follow. My character's end goal is to run a bloody commando build, either using a handmade rifle or a fixer as the primary weapon. The earliest you can actually use a handmade rifle is level 15, so as I was one level off with some caps to spend, it was almost time to head back to the Whitespring to see if any vendors were selling the plan. First though, another public event, Uranium Fever, has popped up, which was a great chance to grab some extra levels. So something I don't see mentioned that often, which actually relates to deciding on which weapons you want to reuse, is diluting the loot pool. And this essentially means if you receive plans for weapons that you aren't intending on using, then don't learn them just yet, perhaps hold on to them in your stash. The more you learn, the more likely those weapons or armor items will actually spawn instead of what you want. But with the event over, I headed over to the Whitespring to find the Free States vendor. Located next to the masseuse parlor, this vendor is actually where you're most likely to find the handmade rifle plan for sale and some other rare high-level plans. This is one of the best weapons in the game, so definitely worth consideration. Spending some of the levels I got and equipping a hard bargain edges the plan's price down a little bit. Now, scrapping more handmade rifles will unlock mods for this weapon. You can craft more yourself or farm enemies that have a chance to drop them. Human enemies in particular, like cultists, blood eagles, and the free radicals from the Wayward Questline have a good chance to drop these. But before setting out to start that, let's go over some other ways I grinded some XP. Looking out for any public events popping up and actually cooking up all the meat from the events gives a steady stream of XP, and taking workshops is also a really good strategy. One of the public events that popped up for me, Campfire Tales, is actually next to another point of interest to look out for. These large scout towers can be scaled, and once you reach the top, interacting with a corner like this will unlock new locations on your map. You won't be able to travel to these straight away, but it is handy to get a lay of the land. These last two methods actually might be tough for lower levels, so you would be relying on teammates to carry you a little bit, but assuming players are okay with you tagging along, daily ops and expeditions offer some good potential rewards too. You'll be getting a lot of your primary weapons, ammunition, some good XP, and potentially legendary weapons and armor. Running one expedition actually rewarded me with a level 15 Executioner's Handmade. Not the best prefix actually, or weapon level, but it's good enough for the moment. And a bloody drill, which is actually a lot of fun to use. Back to the fast leveling though, what then took me from level 24 to level 40 was back-to-back events with Radiation Rumble, Tunnel of Love, and another Seismic activity. Probably the next best I think after Seismic activity, Radiation Rumble will spawn hordes of glowing feral ghouls with stronger enemies spawning at later stages of the event. Simply being in close proximity to your teammates will grant XP from kills they make, but now equipped with a handmade, I was able to contribute a little bit more this time around. Finishing this event at level 31, running through Tunnel of Love and then rushing over to a second Seismic activity, my character was already up to level 39. But putting a pin in the community events, I thought it was time to go it alone and finish the Wayward questline, for a couple of reasons. First, to spend some of these levels and take a look at those perk cards I want. As my end build is going to be a bloodied commando, sneak cards are essential as they decrease the chance of enemies detecting you. Fireproof and endurance is also a good card to rank, as this reduces damage from explosives and fire attacks. As my handmade is automatic, ranking up commando cards in perception increases the weapon's damage. And finally, starch genes. I'm going to cover mutations in full momentarily, but this luck perk card will actually ensure that any existing mutations you have won't be removed once you've used a Radaway. Running through the Wayward quest stages is much faster now, but before heading over to the lumber mill, it's a good time to sort something else out. Returning to my camp by the Wayward is also a good opportunity to sort out some better armor for this level, because literally just up the road you can find these two Brotherhood soldiers. Now these two are great to farm. They won't start as hostile, so we need to initiate combat, but they will drop Brotherhood of Steel combat armor that actually reflects your level. They can even drop heavy combat armor, so server hopping and farming, and you can end up with a full suit of strong armor. You can also upgrade your Under-Armour too. To unlock better linings for your Vault suit, you'll need to actually continue the Overseer's questline, but for the moment, picking up a Brotherhood of Steel soldier suit, we can head over to the Whitespring to purchase an upgrade from the vendors here. Alongside the standard lining, there are additional 4 types of lining mods for all Under-Armours. The best is shielded lining, but this will actually require completing some quest lines, so for the moment the treated lining will do the job. As I've jumped an extra 10 levels, the level 15 legendary handmade is a little bit low powered, so crafting a higher level basic version will probably serve me better for the moment. And with that sorted, it's time to head out. There are a couple of things in the Hunter for Hire stage to look out for. When you're on your way to deal with the free radicals at the lumber mill, 2 optional quests will pop up. The first is to speak to Daniel at Anchor Farm, and once you've passed a speed check of +3 in perception, charisma or strength, you can actually ask him this.
You do that. Maybe I can see having a little something set aside for you.
Once you've reached the mill, fighting or sneaking your way through to the end, choose violence and kill the named NPC Roper. Returning to Daniel afterwards, there is a chance he can actually reward you with the extremely rare cutting fluid recipe. This has a 20% chance to drop, so it's not guaranteed, but will essentially allow you to craft cutting fluid, which provides 3 vials of oil and some steel. Don't worry though if you do miss out on this, because Mutation Invasion coming in February is slated to introduce this plan as an event reward. The other is speaking to this NPC at the Tyler County Fairgrounds. There is a speech check of +8 in strength to completely avoid doing this, but he will task you with retrieving an egg from nearby Deathclaw Island. Returning to him, he will reward you with some stealth boys. But this location is also good to explore. There are a lot of chem boxes to loot, and used in conjunction with the luck perk card Farmer, which at level 1 gives you an extra 40% chance to find extra first aid when looting, you can pick up some valuable supplies. And right next to it is a workshop. Taking workshops in 76 is a great way to get some XP by taking the workshop initially before momentarily defending it against an enemy attack. Use the workshop's resources to place down turrets to help you out, and each will provide you with an opportunity to set down resource generators specific to the location. Water purifiers are also good to place down, as you can get access to purified water, and assuming another player doesn't attempt to take the workshop from you, provides you with a free fast travel spot on the map. Finishing up at the lumber mill, killing the free radicals also yielded 5 free handmaids to scrap for more mods. Fixing the weapon up a bit more, let's run through mutations before grinding some more events for levels. Mutations in Fallout 76 can be acquired one of 2 ways. You can either gain a random mutation once exposed to radiation. These will provide positive and negative effects. The issue with doing it this way is there are actually 18 different available mutations you can get. Running with a lot isn't always the worst thing, but some will actually counteract with each other. Ideally, I'm only looking for Adrenal Reaction, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. As my end build is a bloodied commando, with my health permanently low, Adrenal Reaction is perfect as it increases weapon damage at low HP. Marsupial will increase carry weight by 20, and it will also allow you to jump much higher. It does, however, lower intelligence by 4. Finally, Speed Demon increases movement speed and reload speed. So to get the 3 I want, the best bet is actually to look at player vendors and buy serums from players. This is the second method, as mutation serums can be crafted by players with the recipe. High level players will often have these in abundance for sale, selling them at lower prices, so looking at vendors or even asking high level players, you might get lucky. Next, let's take a look at my perk cards. Once you reach rank 50, level ups won't add special points anymore, but you will be able to pick up perk cards directly. So looking at my current cards, this loadout still needs a bit of work, with Rifleman, Hard Bargain, Scrounger, and Pharmacist needing to come out. But alongside the ones I mentioned earlier, Covert Operative and Agility increases range sneak damage. Demolition Expert increases damage from explosive weapons, which will also increase damage from explosive prefix on a handmade. We will come back to this momentarily once we've leveled, so let's head over to Nuka-World for another round of Seismic activity fun. This time it's a bit of a walk in the park, now finishing at level 52. But, just as I was area looting, another prime source of XP popped up, Moonshine Jamboree. So let's head over there before assessing where we're at. Tasked with defending free stills against waves of anglers, feral ghouls and gulpers, this event can also be dragged out. If all 3 distilleries are kept intact, then you'll also be getting better rewards. But if multiple people are doing this event, then you shouldn't have an issue. Finishing up this run, my character's level was 57, which is not bad for a short session, but like I mentioned at the beginning, looking out for double XP weekends will make leveling in this game much easier. A very popular leveling spot is farming the super mutants on Westtech, but if you're starting from level 1 without the help of a high level friend, this method might not be feasible. Another public event which sadly didn't pop up during my run was Eviction Notice, which with further testing might actually be better than some of the ones I did show, as this will spawn high level super mutants which will actually yield some of the highest experience gain per kill. If I was to continue this character, next steps would probably be trying to source a better handmade or fixer to run with. The fixer is another great option for this type of build, with this weapon plan a percentage drop from the event encrypted. But fixers can be crafted by players, so they will also be sold in vendors. So look out for them, and again remember to check what players are selling in their vendors, because you might end up spotting a good deal. But with that, we've reached the end of the video. Will you be leveling like crazy this double XP weekend? Or are you a new player looking to level up fast? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this particular video, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. We'll be posting more videos like this soon, as well as camp builds and tutorials. With that said, I'm off. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.